Welcome, everyone, to Ladies of the Kitchen podcast. I'm Maria DeRosa, where every month I bring you a great 30-minute connection with people from across the United States who are, in their own way, bringing their joy of their entrepreneurship, their ordinary life, making it extraordinary in their own way by bringing the mind, the body, and the soul together in a healthy way. And they're sharing that with us. So today I have the joy of sitting down with a very super thoughtful, and I underscore thoughtful, and very talented lady, Haley Stern. So, Haley, I'm going to get everyone to check you out while I give you this wonderful intro that you are so deserving of. She has worked with coaches, consultants, leaders, change makers in what? In building relationships and thriving communities so that becomes a human-centered marketing and communication for these people. Her approach is really unique. She blends strategy with creativity, supporting others to use their voices so their content explodes into some sort of creation for their business. She has a background in public communications and community entrepreneurship from the University of Vermont. She's really advanced in her leadership skills with publishing and management, and Haley brings to the table a little bit extra wisdom than most of us because she is a mental health first first aid advocate. And I love that because she uses that to kind of weave into her business. She's devoted to giving a voice to those who are survivors of childhood trauma, especially those which we're going to get into, um, those individuals who are navigating structural disassociation. And believe it or not, she is coming to us from New Zealand. Oh, whoa. And she lives there with her dog, Waldo, and her sweet partner. And I just can't, I mean, I could go on and on. So we're going to get into this. Welcome, Haley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And, I've always felt such, warmth in your energy. And ever since we connected a few years ago, I've been excited to stay connected. And I'm really honored to, yeah, be a guest on your podcast today.
Oh, thank you. Well, you mentioned something about energy, and I think that is what kind of connected us. We both just gravitated to each other. I don't know what it was, whether it was because we were scared in the room, whether we both loved our laughter. I don't know what it was, but we both just kind of went like this. And I think that's what you do in your business. So, that passion, that energy, I know you use that to assist individuals. So how can you explain to the average person that's listening out there today, and by average, I mean most of us who are like, what's this all about? What exactly you mean by human-centered marketing? How's that
Yeah.
different than the marketing that most people know about?
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I have a background in communications and marketing, a pretty broad background. Like, I did study public communications. When I first started university, I did some journalism work. And obviously, there's an entrepreneurial thread that's kind of gone through my life and career. So I was doing that for several years since I was in university. I kind of fell into it. I was in university looking for work, and I happened across someone who was looking for communication support. So that really set me off on this entrepreneurial path, and one thing just kept leading to another, and I realized, okay, I'm starting my own business, I guess. So this is great because, yeah, it was just a great, yeah, I was so grateful for all the opportunities I was getting. Um, and I guess there was a shift, which I would say kind of started around COVID. I was very heavily into the content creation side, which I still do, but I realized that I didn't really enjoy doing content creation for the sake of just that, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like there was a disconnect. Like, I was creating all of this content for other people, but I felt very isolated myself.
Okay.
And I also found that, that was kind of a common theme I was seeing in marketing was, you know, people trying to come up with these strategies, but it's very disconnected from the humanity of, the people they're trying to reach, and even how they're feeling as an entrepreneur trying to
So they
build
were
those
forgetting
relationships.
their audience almost. It was just like get the delivery and forgetting who the
Yeah, like
audience was.
I just felt like it was so much about um seeing people as a target audience instead of seeing them as people that they genuinely want to connect with, that they want to invite into their work. So that's kind of the messaging I've been using around this idea, this new idea that I've been working with about, genuine connection and as kind of the root of marketing communications is
Was
people.
there one particular event or moment when you just went, oh my God, this is really starting to bother me. I'm feeling so alone, or whatever the word was that you said, I think isolation.
Yeah, I think just finding myself, like, not one particular moment, but just finding myself in a lot of burnout, and then realizing that the times when I felt good about my work was when I was bringing people together. Like I
Oh,
really enjoyed, on the podcast work I was doing, the bringing people together behind the scenes of helping connect the host with the guest. Just every moment that I had to connect were the moments where I felt like I lit up. So yeah, just kind of the idea of people don't want to be a target. You know what I mean? We use that language of target audience, but that's with my trauma
that's,
background, it's like if
yeah.
people can feel that they're a target, they're not going to feel good. So,
And
like they're gonna put
right
that wall
now
up
with
of I don't want to
everything,
be
yeah.
sold to, I don't want to, yeah. Whereas, when people do have something genuine to offer, actually seeing them as humans and inviting them in a way that's more human and not that doesn't feel like they're being targeted is such a huge distinction. And we use so much of that language in marketing. So I think,
Oh, and it's now being
yeah,
used in every area of our life right now,
yeah,
politically, religiously. So that word almost is just like anxiety for people. Like, oh my God, am
yeah,
I the target, right? Instead of
yeah,
one of a group where I feel I'm loved and belong and I'm okay and safe,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I
So,
think, yeah.
as a mental health advocate, what qualities and abilities do you bring for that? Like what special skills, I guess, help you out with that?
Yeah. I think um it's a good question. Think I think it's almost less is more. Like people try to do so much and say so much, but I think what people are really looking for is safety. So I think it's really just going back to that root of people want to belong, people want to feel safe, and they don't want to be judged. So, I think just that kind of foundation of creating um a safety net in all areas where yeah it becomes kind of a safe place, whether it is on my marketing side or whether it is in the mental health communities I support. Just safety to be a full human, I guess, is what it is.
Now you mentioned navigating structural disassociation. Can you kind of
Yeah,
explain that for us, what that is?
yeah. For sure. So yeah, I've been a loved one to several individuals with structural dissociation, which is a umbrella term. On the far end, you have DID, dissociative identity disorder, which formerly was known as multiple personality disorder. But
Okay.
there was a lot of, obviously lack of education back in the day
Patient.
when that
Yeah.
was what people were learning. Um, but it's basically the spectrum of people having parts of self, whereas on one end we have the idea that everyone has parts, but when
Right.
you have a healthy, nurturing upbringing without severe trauma, those parts typically integrate pretty fully. Like we have our inner child and stuff like that, but they're pretty much part of us. And basically the spectrum of structural dissociation ranges, everywhere from like a single PTSD event where there'll be a trauma related part and then, your normal life self, all the way to DID where there's been such severe trauma in childhood, and that tendency, because there's a biological tendency to dissociate that leads to, these
So there's all
expressions
these
of trauma
components.
recovery. Yeah. Where the self in childhood, if you um, the personality and the identity is forming at that early age. But if there's such severe trauma and your brain tends to dissociate, um, it won't fully integrate. So a lot of people have this idea that people split when you have DID,
Right.
and like there are that is a something that happens later on when you already have DID. Like there can be new parts formed for new traumas, but um, it's more of the personality and identity at that early age just didn't integrate the way that it would have in normal
So
development.
did
So
you have a family member or yourself that kind of experiences that led you into that journey?
yeah, I had my first experience was a friend who I was doing mental health advocacy with, and she was really the first one that introduced me to what DID was and just the experiences that I had advocating alongside that community and supporting her really, just made open me up to this whole expression of humanity that I didn't realize existed. Like it's incredible and obviously horrible that these people have gone through such severe trauma, but to see the full expression of the inner child as their own, you know,
I
state of
bet you
self.
this, yeah,
Yeah.
this level of compassion has really been able to help you navigate the different personalities that you work with in the business arena as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And there are different um types of system members. Like for DID, like it's called a DID system, and that's made up of all the different alters or parts that those people have in their system. There are the inner child parts. A lot of them are trauma holders, obviously, from the early childhood trauma. They're protector parts. And yeah, there's really a wide range that kind of relate to those different trauma responses. And obviously beyond that, because they do have their own independent senses of self. But yeah, I guess the idea that it's a spectrum and we all have these parts, like we all have our inner child, we all have protector parts. I think like that whole experience is, I think what made it so unique for me, like advocating for that community, is it's not the separate, like strange mental illness, that people have always associated with. It's really what all of our brains would do to protect us if we were in that situation, like, and what our own parts of self would do to
It's a
protect us
form
if.
of survival,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And it's actually an expression of humanity that's actually incredible that these um, people and their systems and their brains were able to survive in such a way where they were protecting themselves and protecting each other within. So,
Yeah, that
yeah,
is really beautiful. So,
yeah.
you're joining us from New Zealand, and obviously, many of us here in the United States have not traveled to New Zealand. Um, I want to. I had it on my bucket list, and actually, I think I was going to try and go during COVID, but then, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, in New Zealand, for those that are listening, is there some particular place or situation that's kind of unique to New Zealand that you go to that brings you a lot of joy or fun, and that's probably different than anywhere else that you know of?
That's a good question. I think pretty much, I mean, everywhere. Like, just, I feel like you feel so much connection to the land here because that's such a huge
Yeah.
part of the culture. And the people here really honor the land, which I think is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, there's so many beaches, like, pretty much, I think it's like every few miles you drive, you can end up at a different beach because of the shape and the island.
Oh,
The islands, I guess you should say. But yeah, here on the North Island, yeah, the ocean, the beaches. Um, yeah, I would say everywhere. I just it lights me up. I really do love New Zealand. Like obviously I came here because of my partner, but it is I feel very lucky because it is a place that I genuinely love and feel like was
I
part of
think
my
that's
soul, if that makes sense.
something that so many people are missing when they um, kind of get isolated, like what you said, and they stay in their apartment or their home or their condo, and they don't get to really experience the beauty of our planet. And right
Yeah.
now, I think we're connecting with our planet is so necessary for us just to feel like you were saying a little bit safe and connected to the earth. So I love that for you, and I love that for the people, which is probably just enhancing your wanting to do even more of what you do. So are most of your clients then, are they one-on-one? Is it a company, or you just have a variety of different?
Yeah, I have a variety. So I work with some solopreneurs, coaches and consultants. I also work in like kind of a fractional capacity with some bigger companies. But yeah, it really varies.
That's
Yeah.
so fantastic. So you have a chance to kind of use your creativity depending on the situation, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And so, what is the one myth that you feel people have about marketing that you're trying to change in your own way?
Um, yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what I said where, you know, more isn't necessarily everything. Like, people are very a lot of people come in being like, I want more followers, I want more this and that. But really, what's the point of that if it's not the right people? And I think it comes back to that. Is it about, numbers and your ego, or is it about the people? So I think really
I
knowing
love
who your
that.
audience
I
is.
love that.
And yeah, it's better to have 20 followers that are dedicated to, the ideas that you're putting out in the world and want to work with you and want to have that relationship with you in that professional way, whatever that might be, than it is to have, you know, 10,000 bots.
And what's
that,
what's ironic about that, I feel you have a lot of truth in that, but what's ironic is then we get all the people behind some of these platforms saying, "Oh no, you have to have 1,000 followers to do this, and you have to be posting so many
yeah,
days and times to do this," you know. So all of a sudden, you're being inundated, being told, "Well, do A, B, and C, and you'll be fantastic." And even if you
yeah,
do A, B, and C, you may not
yeah.
really get anywhere, right?
Yeah. And obviously, like, there are best practices just from the technical side, but yeah, like you're saying, you can't just set it and forget it either. Like, I think a lot of people do A, B, and C, and then they think that people are just going to come to them. And I think, you do have to put effort in. Like, it is a professional relationship. So, people think that, they're just going to have this funnel of people continuing. But if you're not putting your energy, after a
And your
while, like,
love, right?
nothing's going
Your
to
love
last.
for
Yeah,
it.
your
It's
love
not
and
just about the money,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember that was one of my biggest lessons that I learned when I was writing my book is that the lady that was helping me said, "Well, is it about that you want to be number one on Amazon and make a lot of money, or why are you doing this?" And
Yeah.
I think that why behind why are you wanting to be number one on YouTube or whatever it is, right? Why do you
Yeah.
want to be number one in your marketing arena? Is it because you really do have a message and a great product and you love it so much? Or is it because you want to be taking over everybody else? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really a unique position to be in, but I think you do have a little bit of advantage right now, not only because of your talents, but just because of the way the world is. I think people are starting to flip their mindset a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I think with AI too, that was also a turning point for me where I was already feeling what I was feeling about content creation and wanting to have more humanity behind, the reason why I was creating content for people and wanting to bring people together.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I think on top of it, it was actually beautiful timing because, community and, genuine connection is the one thing that can't replace because, a lot of the work I was doing back in, 2019 and
Was being like
whenever.
a human AI, right?
Yeah, yeah, like I used to write everything manually and like I was doing show notes by hand and all this stuff and obviously now in 2026, people they're the tools for that with AI.
Right.
But yeah, they'll never be
The
human
human
connection
part.
and
Yeah.
that part is so important I think to, growing a business. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So, is there one person that in your journey up to now you've always truly looked up to? And
Yeah. Yeah, the person that comes to mind is my grandfather. So he's just always inspired me with his work ethic and his yeah, like he came from very little and he worked really hard and he's created this foundation for our family of love and, provision and all of that. And I think that's something that I also really want to do through my life and my work is, create that for my family and um yeah, I think yeah, he's just always been someone I really look up to as a role model. Like I've saw how he leads, and I've seen how he loves his family, and it's a very quiet love, but it's very strongly felt love. Um, so yeah, he's always through my whole life someone who's been my role model.
well,
So
I'm
yeah,
sure he's smiling right now through the energy vibes of the internet by hearing this, if he does. Let me ask you, do you feel, because you've done so much, you've done postgraduate work, you've done spiritual development work, personal development work, helping people, the mental advocacy of service, all those components. Do you feel that you've had your aha moment, or do you feel it's coming?
I think I feel it's coming still. I think I'm still yeah, like in all honesty, I feel like I'm still definitely integrating these different pieces of my life together. Like I've had this tendency, which is not great, like my whole life, to keep me very separate from work and stuff like that. So that's still something that I'm actively working on. Is and that's a huge reason I wanted to do this, is really, yeah, coming forward as a whole person and being able to live wholly and fully all the time and not kind of showing sides of myself in different environments. So I think once I really continue to work on that and, yeah, just get to that place, I think that will be my aha. When I feel like I'm fully, yeah, when there aren't like pieces of my life, when it's just my life.
Yeah.
And I think I'm getting there, but yeah, I think that it's still a journey ahead.
So do you have something you could label as your biggest fear right now?
It's a good one. Um, I don't know. Like I think I have a lot of I have a lot of anxiety, so I do have fears, but I don't know. Like I think fear of not getting there, of not getting to that place. Yeah, fear of not being authentic. So I think that's why like authenticity is so important to me, but I think I do go into a lot of survival responses still from my
Mhm.
past. So I think,
Do you have some
yeah, I
good
think my
grit
fear is that I won't get to the place of fully
of
feeling like I've,
feeling? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, it totally does. I think a lot of us
yeah,
have that same sense, and some of us it pops up all the time, and some of us just once in a while, depending on a
yeah,
situation. So,
yeah.
you mentioned anxiety. Do you have like a daily routine or a ritual or something that you do to help you stay balanced? What would that be? What does it
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah, that's definitely also a work in progress. I think music is like a huge one for me. Like I'm an artist by nature. Like I grew up as a tap dancer and playing
Oh.
instruments, and my dad's a composer, my mom's a choreographer, so music has always been a huge part of my life. And um, yeah, I'd say it's still the main thing that I think keeps me grounded and feeling like
There's
helps
different,
me process through things, like helps me process through,
yeah.
helps me feel understood, and helps me understand. So,
There's
yeah.
many religions, cultures, and a lot of philosophers and therapists that believe music can really be a way to calm the soul, depending, or to get out the anxiety if you're like dancing away to something. So I love
Yeah.
that. And I also believe that sound, beautiful sound, is just so healing. There's different
Yeah.
frequencies that people talk about, right? So, wow, how blessed to have all that background. I think it's wonderful. Lucky you. So, how does your family feel about, where you are today, living in New Zealand and doing what you're doing? What are their thoughts on all that?
I mean, I mean, they miss me a lot, so I know it's very hard for them as it is for me to be far away. Yeah, professionally, they've always been super supportive, and yeah, I mean, I feel like I come by honestly going into, being an entrepreneur and everything. So, um, I think, they continue to encourage me too in the ways I've described of, yeah, not falling into the kind of, yeah, just the zone of not of kind of zoning out creativity, because I feel like even in a creative field like marketing, you can get very, just focused on the immediate and just the grind of it all. And I think, they always encourage my creativity and my artistry and everything I do. So, yeah,
Oh,
they've been very supportive.
that's very good. Are they going to come out and visit?
They did actually recently. They were here in January for almost a month. So yeah, it was their
Oh,
first time out here, so I was very
so that's
excited that we
definite
finally made it
support
over.
then. One whole month.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what would you tell someone because you were there once, starting out, not knowing exactly how you were going to do this whole business thing and this passion of yours? What would you tell somebody that's just go, okay, this is really what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it no matter what. Now's the time or never. What would be something you would share to that individual?
Yeah. I think yeah, basically I think that it's okay to like it's amazing to have that passion, but I think it's also okay to pivot. And I think it's okay to not know fully because I feel like I held off so many things, and I think I still do probably, where it's like I want to do this, but I'm not sure if I'm going to want to do this 3 years from now, so I'm not going to start kind of
Right.
thing. So I think it's that it's knowing that you can do something fully now, and it doesn't have to be forever. It can be part of the journey. So I think yeah, not getting stuck on like obviously planning is good to an extent.
Right.
Like obviously like it's business, so you want to plan, you want to be smart, but at the same time, um, it's okay to follow your journey, and even if it's feels like you're giving up on something or it feels like you're not doing what you said you're going to do, what matters more is that you are listening to your voice and your calling and who you really are and who you are in that stage of your life too. So I think yeah, just that letting it be a journey.
Hmm. So I only have a few more questions. So one of
Yeah.
them is, people always love to know, how do you balance everything? Because, okay, you've got a dog that obviously needs some attention, needs to be fed. You've got a partner that probably wants the same thing, attention. How about me? Plus you want to exercise, I'm sure, and go out and be by the beaches. So do you actually plan time for each of these, or how do you get that balance in your life?
Still a work in progress, I think, but um I think yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. That's a good one. I'd love to hear what other people on your podcast say too, but um I think for me like I try to like every day like that's I feel that it's kind of part of my morning routine. Like I'll have my coffee and listen to music, which is basically the core of my morning. And I think just yeah, reflecting on what's most important that day, and then the week and the month and stuff. But
I think
um
not beating yourself
yeah,
up from what I hear
yeah,
you
I think that
say,
that's a big thing. Yeah, I think a lot of
because
grace. Like I
yeah,
yeah,
I think too many of us, especially us doer women, because we have so many roles that people put on us, so to speak,
yeah,
caretaker, be my friend and call me up when I'm sad and make sure you call mom and dad and go out for dinner with
yeah,
my honey and feed the dog, right? So I think I know for me, it's like at the end of the day when I review my day, part of me wants to go, oh my gosh, you didn't exercise today. And then another
yeah,
part of me wants to, but look, you got this done and you played a game of chess with your partner. He really wanted that. And so it's like a self-talk that it's okay, right?
yeah, yeah. I think
And
that's definitely
I think that that's
yeah,
what you were reflecting, and it's a work in progress. And we have to admit the fact that perfection is not our goal. Our goal is to love ourselves enough so that we can wake up the next day and be happy to love on other people and bring whatever talent and things that we want to share to other people. Because if we don't like
yeah,
us, it's not going to show,
yeah.
I mean, it is going to show to the others that something's up. Why isn't she smiling today? Why is she such a bitch,
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely I guess that is the true answer to my question is it's just a lot of forgiveness and grace and letting myself be human.
Yeah, and I think that
Yeah.
was honestly one of the things that we connected with. Because when we were at the way we met everyone is we were at this personal development retreat. And I think we both just kind of kept on looking at each other like, whoa, do I need a lot of work on me?
Yeah.
Right? And
Yep.
yet, and yet we knew that it's okay, she needs it too.
Yeah.
So we kind of felt all right, you know?
Yep. It's all coming back to me now.
So I think this leads to my last question here, which I think would be a beautiful way for everyone to wrap it up. How would you really, truly, right now, want to be remembered, knowing that your time was coming, okay, it's time to leave the planet? How do you really want to be remembered by people?
Yeah, I love this question. I think genuine is like the number one word. I want to be remembered as someone who's genuine, honest, and yeah, that was gentle with people and hopefully gentle with myself eventually. But yeah, I think genuine, gentle, honest, and cared a lot and maybe gave people a tiny bit of hope about the world and life, and that, even though there is a lot of darkness and terrible things, that yeah, there is hope still. So yeah.
That's right. That's right. And you're a great example of that, I feel, because look you're in a place so far away from what is your norm and family. You're taking a risk. You're saying in the process, I'm still going to be of service to an area of life as a mental advocate here for health in an area that people are not really educated in. I mean, how
Yeah.
beautiful is that? I mean, that could be on a plaque, but what you stated was, but I want them to remember I did it for my heart.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that, I think, is what the whole world needs to hear right now, that we all need just to wake up every day and just live from the heart, not from
Yeah.
hatred, not from, I'm judging you, you're better than me, and oh my gosh, I should be there, and look at her, and oh, he's such a jerk, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just be that heart, and the more of us come together in community, which you're trying to do, um, the better the world will be, I think, So there is
Yeah.
hope. There is hope. So
Yeah.
where can people, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to know more about, if not the whole mental advocacy arena of your life and what you do there. I'm sure they might even require, hey, I need some marketing help here because I don't want to just be worried about my motto, right? Which
Yeah.
is another thing I think so many people obsess on. I need a really good motto, right? Or a tagline. And it's like, really? That's not going to be the true you. It's how you
Yeah.
take that, right? So where
Yeah.
can they find you?
Yeah. So I'd say the best place is LinkedIn. So yeah, Haley Stern. I think it's LinkedIn/in/Haley
Yeah, and
Stern. I think it's pretty easy
I'll
to
put the
find. Yeah, for
specific.
sure.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
but that's currently the best place. I'm currently working on revamping my website. Eventually it will be HaleyStern.com, but right now it's under construction still.
Oh, great.
Um, but yeah, yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone. And like I said, like I genuinely do value genuine relationship, and connecting with people. So I'd be happy to do that either on the marketing side, or I'm always happy to talk about like the mental health advocacy stuff because yeah, I just feel like it's such an underrepresented community and so much more
Yeah, and
common than people
you're
think. And
certified in
yeah,
that, which means you've had some good research, education on it. You just didn't just show up at a clinic and help out from time to time. You've actually done some behind the scenes good research and work into that field. So
yeah,
that I think is a real benefit for people because they know they're going to come to somebody that has some answers. So I'm sure there's a
yeah,
lot that are listening that may have a little bit of fear, and now they go, oh my God, there's a place I can go to ask about this question or this concern in my life,
yeah, definitely. Hmm.
so Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see all of you next month. I will putting all the little notes of where to find Haley, and any questions you may have will be down below there also. And we'll see you next month on Ladies of the Kitchen podcast.